Well, clearly Hurricane Michael has cleared out of the area, leaving us with fall conditions across the southeast, and that's good news as we head into the weekend for recovery efforts. We'll take a look at the full forecast coming up, but first, WDHN News at 5, the one to watch, starts now.
Back on the air and back in your homes tonight. Thank you for bearing with us through this situation after Hurricane Michael, and it is our great pleasure to be broadcasting once again to southeast Alabama, northwest Florida, and southwest Georgia. We understand that there are some heavy hearts tonight, and of course Hurricane Michael moved through here and caused a lot of destruction, and for everyone who experienced any sort of damage or devastation, our hearts and prayers go out to you tonight, of course, and we were not immune to that either at our own homes as well as here at the television station, and it's good to be back. An estimated 83,000 Alabama residents lost power during Hurricane Michael's fury, and primary power distributors in the area reporting outage numbers. As of Friday morning, Wiregrass Electric Cooperative still had over 13,000 without power. Pea River Electric Cooperative reporting 4,000 members. Alabama Power reported 27,000, but that number way down as of later this morning around 10 a.m. And Dothan Utilities' most recent release reported less than 12,000 in the city without power now as well. Many of those affected living in Coffee, Dale, Houston, Henry, Barber, and Geneva counties. Hundreds of linemen from cooperatives across the state join those in the Wiregrass to help get power back up as soon as possible to residents. There's massive damage to work through in Columbia, Cottonwood, Rehoboth, Pansy, and Ashford, and parts of Bay Springs substations. Dothan Utilities and Public Works are mobilizing 3 clearing crew efforts in the Garden District in the center of town, along with the Choctaw substation circuits as well.
That big old line is laying down over on that side of the road there. Last time it went out, the hurricane went through it, it was over a week we didn't have power, but I hope it's not going to be that long this time.
Now, it may take a few days to restore power. It's going to take some time to get all of this done. A lot of infrastructure issues and things of that nature. Now, due to the widespread damage, estimates really are tough to give as far as when power will be back for those who desperately need it in our area, but crews are working around the clock to restore power to all. Of course, we know that the eastern side of the viewing area got hit the hardest. Folks in Seminole County, Early County, and eastern Houston County having some very, very major problems as things stand right now, and we're even seeing reports that there's not water in some of those places. So stuff we continue to try and gather information on and get it out to you at home, and we'll continue to do that here on television and on our web products. There are 2 apps, weather app, the news app, and of course DothanFirst.com, and on our Facebook page. Now, cleanup in the city of Dothan continues today. All day today, crews and citizens were out doing what they could do to remove those trees and power lines that have blocked roads in several neighborhoods around town. Others began repairing the damage done to their businesses by Hurricane Michael as well. And you just look at that. That's the scene everywhere, friends. Massive trees falling through houses. There are a number of homes that are just completely lost, will have to be just torn down to the foundation and rebuilt. And this is kind of the scene all over town. Folks out gathering tree branches and hauling that to the side of the road. Now, one unique thing about a situation like this is all of the folks congregating together in the middle of the street and just talking with their neighbors. Very interesting to see friendships build out of tough situations like this. The town of Ashford also feeling the wrath from Hurricane Michael. Much of the downtown area and residential areas have dozens of trees down with power outages and a lot of destruction there. For lifelong residents of the eastern Houston County municipality, this storm has caused unprecedented damage. Power may be out for weeks for a number of residents. For an elderly woman, she heard a tree crash right outside her bedroom window. She says God spared her life.
Just thankful, we're blessed. We're just blessed that it didn't do no more than it done.
Yeah, that could have hurt.
It could have. Because right there was our bedroom.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Ashford, Gordon, Cottonwood, and many other eastern portions of our audience, like we said, in Alabama, southwest Georgia, and northwest Florida, appearing to suffer the most damage from the storm. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with those folks, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that that's communicated to relief efforts that the eastern portion really got hammered in this situation. Fallen trees on many houses and power lines, well, it's a safety concern as well. The Dothan area seeing many areas in the city like this. Folks are urged to stay away from such hazards. If you see a barricade like that, don't drive around it. And also, this sounds a little harsh, but try to stay away from workers who are repairing down or damaged lines. And in emergency situations or unknown hazards or the potential for changing hazards as work progresses, everyone needs to be extra vigilant and cautious, because you just don't know if those power lines are live or not. Now, potential hazards could be electrocution by contacting one of those power lines, or objects such as broken tree limbs in contact with fallen power lines. Of course, those electricity tends to travel, friends. Being struck or crushed by falling poles, towers, or tree limbs is also a big issue as well.
Our issue now is getting roads cleared. We still have a number of county roads that are blocked off because of fallen trees, fallen power lines. We've been blessed that we don't have any reported injuries.
Now, if you do come across a down power line or other hazards, stay far away from it. Report it if you believe it hasn't been reported, but it's never a bad idea to make doubly sure that something has been reported to those who can take care of that issue. Let's get a check of current conditions today. Kind of ironic. Scott Roberts is with us, and it is just the weather amazing outside right now.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen after systems like Michael clear out. We have dry conditions all across the southeast. Action radar all clear. We have a few thin clouds filtering out the sunshine just a bit. High temperatures were just in the upper 70s to lower 80s, but that sunshine did make it feel a little bit warmer out there. So for the next couple of days with similar temperatures in the forecast, certainly try to stay cool as you can and take plenty of breaks if you're working outside over the next several days, and certainly stay hydrated. We're in the 70s now, 50s for the dew point, so that's a good sign that temperatures tonight will again be able to cool off pretty nicely into the 50s. We woke up with 54 degrees for the low temperature here in the Circle City. This evening we'll be in the 60s early on, and then eventually we will be cooling off into the 50s as we do head into the overnight hours. This fall weather sticks around into the weekend. Rain chances don't return to the forecast until next week, with warmer temperatures on the way. With that, we'll take a complete look coming up hour by hour in a few moments. Ben?
And it felt absolutely incredible this morning with the temperatures out. A lot of folks out having to do some pretty tough manual labor, and that's been very nice. Scott, thank you so much. Since the height of Hurricane Michael making landfall on Wednesday night, there's more than 36 seniors that are having to deal with the heat of the day without power in a high-rise building in Marianna. Chipola Apartments, a 5-story brownstone, as some would call it, located in downtown Marianna, designated for retired folks 62 and above. Now, during the storm, 100-mile-an-hour winds tearing into the ceilings of several apartments on the top floor. It caused rain and plaster to fall on those folks, and without electricity, the elevator can't be used. Residents in their 80s and 90s are climbing 5 flights of stairs in that building. A terrible situation, and hopefully some relief in sight very soon. Let's talk about the Granger Berk community. It sits along the southern Houston and Jackson County state line there. It was in the path of Hurricane Michael moving into the Wiregrass on Wednesday. Glenda Worthy and her son live just north of the Florida state line, and as the storm moved through, it brought those winds, those high winds, to their single-wide manufactured home. A tree went right through a bedroom and a ceiling there and blew out the windows. Worthy said she thought she was going to die.
Well, me and Lucy was in the bed watching TV, and that limb rushed my window out over there, and it just went over the trailer. And if I move the limb, the whole shebang's gonna cave in. Nobody, they come by and take pictures, but nobody had never stopped.
Now, Ms. Worthy, along with a number of other residents along State Highway 53 in southern Houston County, are hoping for some assistance from state and federal agencies. She has no choice but to live in the mobile home at this time without a ceiling, and there's a lot of stories very similar to this in the coverage area. Now, as we continue tonight in Marianna, we spoke with one local business owner in the downtown area. Pam Fuqua is the owner of a local marketing company in Marianna. She describes the effects that the storm has had on the city, one of the hardest hit spots in the entire area.
Heartbreaking. This is small town America. This is covered in old oak trees with Spanish moss hanging down. You just don't see this. You don't feel it. We lost our house to a fire 5 years ago, and we know the devastation. We know what people are going through right now. And we are very fortunate we did not lose our house. We've had some damage just like everybody else, but we're okay. And when it really comes down to it, that's all you can say. Yeah.
Certainly is. Fuqua and her family are okay. They say that their thoughts and prayers are still with those in the Florida coastline, and we're going to show you what that Florida coastline looks like coming up in just a few moments. We want to get a check of traffic this evening, which is a major problem in the city. You see the Ross Clark Circle on the northwest side of town. Not too much of a problem there. You do see a lot of vehicles on roadways. But down on the south side of town, Highway 231, the 231 and 431 corridors are gridlocked with folks moving through 3 different states and much more. Dothan is the route, the north and south route that is safe to take right now. So a lot of people in this area and a lot of folks on the roads. We'll be right back. Our coverage is live from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. tonight as we take a look back at the historic Hurricane Michael.
You're watching WDHN News with Ben Stanfield and weather with Scott Roberts.